Welcome to Kidmissing TV. I am your host, Angelina Wilson. Sorry about my hand in front of there like that. I am still getting used to my tabletop tripod. I love the thing, especially for the kitchen, and my new light is coming Wednesday. My only issue is because the top is kind of one of those rollerball things, it can spin real easy. So anyway, apologies for that. Also, you'll notice that I'm done up for St. Patrick's Day in my eyes, and that is because it is March. It is Murderous March for us here. But I am using this because I'm going to use this for St. Patrick's Day at the Historical Society. Anyway, the very first video for Murderous March is that of Carol Ann Thompson. She was 5 years old, May 10th, 1947. She was abducted and murdered. In Upper Gwynedd Township, Pennsylvania. They were visiting family there. They lived in Philly. A man offered to give her wagon a push as she was dragging it uphill. Actually, she was 6 years old. And then he drove off with her. He told her brother, "Your sister is going for a ride." And the car was gone in a cloud of dust. They did not have a police force in that town, so the state police were summoned. The barracks was in Collegeville and had a 14-man staff. That's a tiny barracks. An hour later, a 13-year-old boy in Worcester came upon a gruesome scene in an old ornamental well. It was the lifeless body of Carol Ann Thompson. So they have a Worcester, Pennsylvania, and it's spelled the same way as ours, Worcester. In addition to being sexually assaulted, she had been killed by a very hard blow to the head. A milk bottle had been found in the well. The initial investigator concluded that the location of her murder was known then as Lover's Lane, was located between Sky Pike and Bean Road. Okay. Now, all of the information comes from the Times Herald, courtesy of the Montgomery County Historical Society, between May and August of 1947. A lover's lane, as they call it, is a place where kids went parking. I don't think they really do that anymore, but it's a kind of a dark place where you can pull off the road and you can make out, or you can do more if you want to. That's what a lover's lane is. There have been several serious suspects. The likely suspect is a now dead man named Elmo Smith. He was actually put to death on April 2nd, 1962 for a 1959 murder with similar earmarks. But neither Billy Thompson or teenage neighbor Gerald Durstein were willing to positively identify Smith as the abductor, and very soon Smith was sent to prison for a 10 to 20-year term for brutal assault on an Upper Merion teen, and prosecutors did not pursue him further. Smith was an ex-con with a long rap sheet, who was released from prison in 1959 after serving about half of his sentence. It was not long before he was charged with and then convicted and sentenced to death in the brutal slaying of Manayuk teenager Marianne Mitchell, who disappeared December 28 and was found 2 days later in a muddy gully. Like Thompson, she had been sexually assaulted. He was the last man electrocuted in Pennsylvania's electric chair before a Supreme Court ruling suspended the death penalty. On April 2nd, 1962 is when he was killed. They suspended the death penalty in the early 70s after several appeals fell on deaf ears. There is a man who named Lewis, last name Lewis, who did a deep dive into this. I believe he's part of the Historical Society of Montgomery County, and unfortunately, as the Montgomery County District Attorney was taking an interest in the case and wanted to look into it, he died of a sudden heart attack. And his successor didn't pick up the mantle, so that sucks. But if you have any information, and also they're looking for DNA in the case, unfortunately, her brother passed away in 2020, never seeing justice for his sister, at least not in this world. If you have any information, please call the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, the Montgomery County, the Pennsylvania State Police. I don't have any of those numbers, unfortunately, in this particular case. It's sad, it's disturbing. Now, my opinion as far as the suspect goes, his victims were all teenagers. This was a 6-year-old. Maybe? I'm not sure. So, that's really, for me, that's what it comes down to. You know, his victims were teenagers, 13 and 14-year-olds. There's a big difference to me between them and a 6-year-old in that they've reached puberty, especially as females, so they have different anatomy than she would have had. So I'm not sure he fits her killer, even though there were some similarities. I'm not sure that he's the one. My opinion, DNA will show us, hopefully, whether I'm right or wrong. I'm not going to rule him out completely. He has to stay on the list for obvious reasons, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 by Memorial Day. We're doing great, guys. We're up to 336 or 337. That's great. And thank you all for that. God bless you, and I'll see you next time here in Murderous March. Bye, guys.